Hello and welcome to Tête-à-Tête here on France 24. Our guest this week is Sebastien Lai. He is the son of the Hong Kong media tycoon and pro-democracy advocate Jimmy Lai. Jimmy Lai is on trial for colluding with foreign forces in Hong Kong. He is the founder of the now-defunct tabloid Apple Daily, and he has already spent 4 years behind bars for his alleged role in the pro-democracy protests back in 2019. In reaction to those protests, China imposed a harsh national security law under which Jimmy Lai is on trial, and he risks a life sentence. Thank you very much for being with us, Sebastien. In late November, it was the first time that your father appeared in court for his trial. He pleaded not guilty to conspiracy charges of collusion with foreign forces, mainly because of his interactions with senior U.S. and Taiwanese officials, and also for some material published by the Apple Daily. China's foreign ministry spokesperson called him the main plotter and participant of the anti-China chaos in Hong Kong. In your eyes, is your father already guilty even before the trial for China?
So there's no way he's going to get a fair trial. There's no way he's going to get a fair judgment. It's a show trial. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, which is an objective body, recently issued an incredibly strong ruling saying that not only should my father not have been, this trial should not be ongoing in the first place, he should have never been arrested, and that he should be released immediately and unconditionally, and that this violation of international law in persecuting my father needs to be independently investigated as soon as possible. So incredibly strong ruling from an international body, but there's multiple states that have called for his release as well. He's not getting a fair trial. I mean, look, in the trial, there's no jury. There's 3 government-appointed judges. Allegation of witnesses that have testified against my father, allegations of these witnesses being tortured. Some of his colleagues have also been arrested to testify against him, and they aren't getting sentenced until after my father gets sentenced. So complete textbook show trial. There's no way he'll get a fair judgment.
Right. In his court appearance, his first court appearance, he said he had never used his foreign contacts, including then American Vice President Mike Pence, the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, against China or to influence U.S. policy in Hong Kong. Obviously, China think that this is part of a plot that he was key to. What is your reaction when you saw those allegations?
So the good thing about, the simple thing about my father's case is actually that he's been doing this for the last 30 years. So if you just refer back even 30 years ago in interviews, he's always called for peaceful democracy protests. He was always anti-Hong Kong independence and was just calling for China to honor the joint declaration where Hong Kong would have one country, two system, and Hong Kong would have a democracy under the system. And so it's always been that. Again, the meetings were all public, and he's always had he's been coherent through the last 30 years. I mean, if you look back at the prosecution's case. This idea that he was this black hand, behind the student movement was completely false. The witnesses have said that the only time they've ever met with my father was for my father, because my father told them to be peaceful, to be non-violent. So not only was he not this person controlling the students from behind the scene, he was also incredibly moderate in telling them to not be violent and not to call for Hong Kong independence. And that's now come out in the trial.
Right. In the trial, your father also said that the Apple Daily, his newspaper, represented, quote unquote, Hong Kong values, the rule of law, democracy, political, social freedom. What was your reaction when you heard that in this national security court, this was a way for him to show that he didn't back down? I mean, is this the way how you felt this, that he was faithful to the values despite the situation he faces?
It was bittersweet because the reason why. So my father's been in solitary confinement for the last almost 4 years now. He's 77 and has diabetes, right? So his health has gotten much worse as a result. But the reason why they put you in solitary confinement is to break you, mentally and break you spiritually. And his testimony has showed that they have not broken him, that he is still unbroken, and he's still fighting. He'd be leaving his journalists behind. He'd be leaving the other pro-democracy people behind, and that those people would be open to persecution. And a lot of those people couldn't leave. So he decided to stay and act as a lightning rod to defend his people. My father's whole life has been a pursuit of freedom, and then a sacrifice to defend that freedom. So it's always been coherent.
Right, but if you're in such a situation, you might say other things. He said as well that he never advocated Hong Kong independence, and he also said in defending his meeting with Taiwanese, the former president, he was asked why. He said, and he responded, Taiwan is the only democracy of Chinese people in the whole history of the Chinese people. Making those remarks, given how Taiwan is a major issue for the Chinese President Xi Jinping, is probably another way for him to be defiant, even in this court.
Yeah, so again, Dad has never advocated for Hong Kong independence, and which was a huge issue of contention, actually, with the Hong Kong movement. And again, he's been coherent for the last 30 years. And Taiwan has elections. That's what a democracy is.
You said that he decided to state you've raised concern about his health. The Chinese said no, he asked to be in solitary confinement and he's being taken care of. Are you afraid about his detention conditions and the impact it could have on his health?
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous that he would ask to get tortured for the last 4 years. I think it shows you where the Hong Kong government is now at, putting words in other people's mouth. It's horrendous. Look, he not only does he not get to see anybody for 23 hours a day, he gets 15 minutes of exercise. Where again, he's also, from my understanding, he exercises by himself as well. So not only is he in solitary confinement, he doesn't get access to natural light. He has been in there for 4 years. 15 days is considered prolonged solitary confinement, and he's been more than 1,400. So these are horrible situations. And because in a situation like this, he's Catholic, and God. Look, it's just you and God in there in the cell, right?
Right. What about the international community? You've been campaigning for your father. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump said in October that he would, quote-unquote, 100% get Jimmy Lai out of China, adding that it would be easy. Your father holds also British citizenship. The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, met with Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the G20 meeting in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, apparently raising the case. Do you think the Western world is doing enough for your father and, I would say, for Hong Kong's situation more generally?
So we're incredibly grateful that for what President Trump said in regards to my father, and to Prime Minister Keir Starmer raising my father's case. Is the international community doing enough? I mean, we definitely see more and more attention on the case. But again, it's urgent, and the clock is ticking. So it's not the time to be pulling punches, unfortunately.
You were abroad when your father was first arrested in 2020. You've decided not to go back and campaign on his behalf. How hard is it for you to be away from Hong Kong and from your family and from your father?
Hong Kong's home, and well, my father's my father, so it's been quite hard. I haven't seen him in 4 years. The only time I ever hear about him is when they, is when they see him in court. Look, campaigning for my father's freedom is something that is incredibly important, and I think if the result of that is that I can't go back to Hong Kong and see him, so be it. But I'm not going to stop until he's freed and released and enjoying the freedoms that he's campaigned for all of these years. And because I speak out on his behalf, obviously, I can't get back to Hong Kong because nowadays Hong Kong has 1,900 political prisoners. And you could get arrested for wearing the wrong T-shirt or liking social media posts. And as you can see, I've done much more than that.
Is democracy definitely over in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong never had democracy, and that's what the people of Hong Kong was campaigning for. But Hong Kong had a lot of the other freedoms that they've since taken away within the blink of an eye. But that's what made Hong Kong special. So Hong Kong no longer has the rule of law, no longer has free press. It no longer has free speech. It's the limits on what people can do in Hong Kong has massively shrunken, and as a result, I think many people have to ask themselves whether they still want to be there, especially if they don't have to.
Just last issue, have you received any threats, intimidation, hacking, attack? Because we know China has been rather active against those who speak against the regime.
When I spoke to the UN, for example, you get these threatening messages. But look, in the end of the day, they have my father in jail, and there's nothing that's more threatening to me than having a family member in prison in the conditions that he's in. So it's not going to stop me.
Sebastien Lai, thank you very much for appearing here on Tête à Tête, and thank you all for watching this edition on France 24.